Making more out of everybody.
Yeah.
Creeping
All
your
right.
face.
Let's make our way over. Steve, you will either need a Chromebook or something to write with. I sent you the email with the options. I can resend it. I check your email. It should be there. I'll send it again. Okay. Come on over. Chromebooks or something to write with. Okay. So first, before I forget, because I will have tendency to forget. Can we, guys, if you're hanging out in the class, make sure it's quiet so I can start. Okay, and I will try to say this again at the end just in case you can't figure it out. But if you took VIP tickets to sell for casino night, that money and or the tickets, if you didn't sell them, need to come back tomorrow. I'm gonna say that one more time, folks. So the final push for ticket sales, and Grant, I finally got them here. So if you need those extras, I've got them. Yep.
I got some.
Beautiful. Okay, so bringing those things back. I've got some additional ones. Some of you had asked for a few extras. If you know you're going to sell to someone, right? Like they've asked for them and I just didn't have them for you or whatever. If you know you still have somebody who wants one, I can extend that out to Thursday. I just need to kind of have an idea of the numbers tomorrow because they have a meeting tomorrow and are starting to get things ready. Those VIP tickets include like a little goodie bag and some other stuff. So they need to know how many people that is. So bringing back money, the slips that say who you sold them to, and then any unsold tickets tomorrow. Guys, if you have anybody who even remotely you think would buy some, please talk to them. That's going to be how that's successful, right? And if we want it to continue to be successful over many years, which means more money for you for future trips, other opportunities, that sort of thing, it's not just isolated to this year. We want it to be really successful that year after year after year, that's a fundraiser that brings in $10,000, $15,000, which I think it could happen if it gets to be like a regular thing that people attend, okay? So we want to really push those sales. Bring those in tomorrow if you have any of that stuff, okay? Then, I did these reminders yesterday, so hopefully you've had a chance to look at them. Here's what we're going to do today. All right, the first thing I want you to do is just kind of do a little self-mental check-in. And this is what you're going to actually jot down somewhere. This is not something you're turning in right now. It's going to be related to some things that we do over the next 2 weeks. So I'm going to pass around some Post-its. You can write it. You can write it on a scratch piece of paper. You can write it in a Google Doc. Whatever's going to work best for you, but I'll pass around some Post-its and you can write it down. So you're going to start by 2 to 3 things that you're feeling really good about, okay? That could be specific harmonies or specific songs, specific spots in the music, inquire. Yep. Or it could be technique things, right? I'm feeling really good about the vowel shapes I'm creating. I feel really good about my posture. I feel really good about my breathing technique, okay? So what are 2 to 3 things that you're feeling pretty good about right now? What are you confident in? Okay, like that could be a song, could be a harmony, specific spot in the song, whatever that is, okay? And then 2 to 3 things that you're a little less confident. You're not quite feeling as good about those 2 to 3 things. You need a little extra work, just some more repetition, some extra help. What are 2 or 3 things where you're feeling like you need a little more time, a little more work? Okay. Again, that could be a specific song. It could be a specific spot in a specific song. It could be your breathing technique, right? I just need some help with that. I feel like I run out of air all the time. So 2 to 3 things for you. I'll give you a minute or 2 here to think about that. You don't have to have full sentences or anything, just enough so that you know what you're talking about. And this is something you're going to keep for a little while. You're not going to turn it in right away. So you might keep it in a folder. You might keep it like the Google Doc. That's fine. Just looking on maybe 30 to 60 seconds. Again, it doesn't have to be full sentences or anything. This is for you. Oh, sorry. You're good. I don't mind. I gotcha. All right. So as you're thinking about these things, go ahead and just finish jotting down as I start talking here any thoughts that you still have. You can definitely be more than 2 to 3 things for each one of these. Right? There's lots of things we're doing well. There's lots of things to feel really good about so far. So I don't want to discount those, right? And we're going to kind of build upon those and talk more about that kind of in the future here. Right now, if we think about what can we do about this, right? What can you do about those things that you've identified? Let's talk some strategies, right? There are things that you can do. I hear a lot of things like, well, I can't practice outside because I don't know how to play piano. I don't know how to read music very well. Oh yeah, you're in the last group, but you still shouldn't have it out there. Okay. So what are you able to do about it, right? There are things that we are learning how to do in here or that you can already do to work on those things that you've identified, right? And I've got a few ideas for strategies up here, and there's definitely some more. We'll talk about a few more of those things. But let's talk about a few things that you could do, okay? We're all learning how to do this. We're in different places on that journey, but we're all using solfege to try to figure out what things are supposed to sound like. So if you've got a specific passage in a song, one of the best things that you can do if you're struggling with it, like you either accidentally keep singing someone else's part, you know you're not landing on the right notes. Like you're looking at it, you're like, I'm going the wrong direction, or I'm not jumping far enough on that note. But in the middle of rehearsal, you're struggling to find that, right? And identify that. Solfege is one of the best ways, even if it's just one passage, right? If you can work through it slowly and figure out those intervals on your own, you will know it. And your brain makes that connection. Okay, it's one of the strongest ways to learn, way stronger than like learning by ear and connecting it that way. Okay, so that's one option. Practice singing your part and practice singing your part with another part. Right now we've got some practice tracks available on Google Classroom. We can make a few more of those. But one thing that really, really helps you to know if you really know it, or what spots you need to work on, or what things are supposed to sound like, is to practice singing your part along with a practice track that belongs to another part. And if you can do it, right, without getting sucked into someone else's part, that's really hard to do. It's literally a duet with you and computer track. All right, so if you can do your part without switching to someone else's, then you know you really have it down. It's a great way to practice. Here's another thing you can do, okay? During rehearsal, I say, altos, let's start at measure 32, and we're going to sing just your part. If you have a recording app on your phone, bring it up, start a recording, you now have a practice track for any moment in the song that you need to work on. Could be in the middle of rehearsal too. If we're doing all 4 parts, you're surrounded by people singing your same part. So it might not be perfect. There might be some mistakes, but you can have a really good basis for how to practice that, right? By having that recording. There's a big difference. I know there's a big difference with you standing like this recording versus this, right? So as long as you ask for permission to do that, that's a great strategy to have something for you to practice on your own, okay? Specific intervals. If you're struggling with a spot and you're like we just talked about, there's a big jump and you know you're not landing on the right note, right? Let's take, for example, in Three Patriotic Treasures, some of those jumps like the tenors having to go down a third, they accidentally keep landing on the baritone note, right? So you're like, shoot, I keep singing the wrong note there. So if you know how to play piano, you can check it on there. If you can plunk out like a single note, that's one way. But if you don't, you can get like either a little keyboard or a pitch pipe app that's got the letter names on it. So like I know I think it's a C that the tenors go to. So when I'm singing that interval and I sing it, I freeze on that note and then I go, was that the note I just sang, right? And if I'm in the middle of the pitch, yes, nailed it. If not, then I can practice that interval and make sure I keep landing on that note. So sometimes specific interval work is really helpful, right? I know that's a really obnoxious tone. yet, but it does work, okay? And then rhythms. Now this is kind of hard in the music we're doing right now because pop music tends to have really syncopated, crazy, over-the-top rhythms. But depending on how comfortable you are with counting language, if there's a spot that you know, right, we were working on rests yesterday in AIDA. Writing in the counting language for where those rests are supposed to happen can be really helpful to visually and like listening to it, know where those things are supposed to happen, okay? So what other strategies can you think of? Are there any other things that you do or can think of to do that help you work on the music on your own without me? What do you do? Grant, what do you do?
In your music, like let's say you're having trouble doing some awkward jumps, you can always put like a little more before you actually get there to remind your brain, like, oh, that's coming up, I gotta remember that.
Yeah, marking up your music. Specifically, like if you make a mistake and then you make that mistake again, if you make it more than once, your brain has kind of internalized that mistake, so you need that visual reminder to be like, this has to be something different than what my brain wants to go to. So yes, marking up your music is great. So,
I like to ask other people, and be like, can you help me with this? Like, what is this note? Or like, how do I go from this to that? Like, what's the
yeah. So if there's a spot in particular, we've got lots of people who are even really good sight readers, have been doing it for 8 years, or can play some piano and help you in those moments for sure. What else can you do when I'm not there?
The practice tracks.
Yeah, practice tracks are recordings, right? You can go find a recording on YouTube of Let the River Run and sing along and see if you can sing your part along with all of those other parts going on there, or listen for your part. Can I hear what my part is doing in there? Because sometimes that's even just listening for it and knowing what it sounds like with the other parts is helpful. Okay. Another one that I didn't put up here, if you're on the sort of that memorization stage, or memorization stage, one of the things that helps me to memorize is if I write it out. Like if I sit down and try to remember all of the words in order to let the river run, can I write them from beginning to end, right? And if I do that a couple of times, usually I have it memorized then by the time I'm done, just the order of the words. So writing it and thinking through it a couple of times helps to ingrain those things. Another one, if you're working on dynamics, sing along with that recording, right? And see if you can watch your music for the dynamics and practice making them loud and soft, that sort of thing, okay? Those are all great strategies. And I hope that you were listening to some of those. Here's what you need to think about, right? If I wasn't there playing piano for you or singing that part for you, could you do it on your own? Learn it on your own, okay? Never having heard it before. That's the goal. I know we're all in different places on that journey, but just like in English, it would be really weird for your English teacher to follow you around your entire life and read everything for you. They're not coming home with you on the bus, right? So you need to be able to do this for yourself. Same thing with math. Although that would be handy sometimes, your math teacher isn't coming home with you or going to the store with you to help you figure out how to add up or figure out tax or whatever, right? Those are things you need to learn how to do on your own. And so music is no different. That's the goal. That's where we want to be. So here's what you're going to do. Sometime between now and next Tuesday, you're going to document using one of these strategies. Now, this could literally be a 30-second video or recording. Some of those strategies we said are more visual, right? If you were writing out the lyrics to try to memorize something, that could be something you could turn in as well as evidence that you tried one of these strategies, okay? So, could be singing along with a practice track, could be working on solfege for a little part, could be working on a specific interval, any of those things that we just talked about. So this doesn't have to be a long example, just documenting that you've tried one of these strategies on one of those spots that you identified as not being as confident on. Right? So if it's on that little piece of paper, that's why we started with that. Little piece of paper, you said, ooh, I really am struggling with the form, meaning like the order of what comes next in Let the River Run, right? I keep forgetting about the coda. So one thing that you could do is practice singing the coda along with the track or the recording. You could write out the lyrics, catching what happens at the coda, right? So there's a couple different strategies. Whatever that thing or things that you identified on that sheet are, what's going to help you to get better at that? Okay, so picking one of those strategies, and this will be on Google Classroom, so if you need to refer back to those strategies, you can do that. If you are doing the composition, here's what I need for you before midterm, which is Friday. You should have already had your proposal in, but if you haven't done that yet, I need that so that I know not to mark your other things as missing. So your proposal is step one. What are you writing? Kind of what are your goals? What are you thinking? And then what you have done so far. Okay, so if you're creating that in flat, there's that little share button up at the top, and you just put in my email and then I have access to it, okay? So if you're doing compositions, that's what I need for you for midterms. What questions do you have about where we are, or what we're doing? Okay. So for midterm, just as a reminder, I'm gonna mark one lesson as missing, so if you don't have any in, that one will get marked as missing, but I won't mark any other ones yet. I'll do that after midterms. And then we've had a couple of weeks here where we haven't had any like weekly work, so hopefully you're getting caught up on that. Check on Infinite Campus or Google Classroom to see what you need to do, or ask me and I can help you as well, okay? So just a quick reminder, get that VIP stuff in tomorrow, write yourself a reminder on your phone or on your calendar, whatever you need to remember to bring that stuff back tomorrow, okay? Or if you need more tickets, I've got them up here, okay? All right, guys, thank you for today, and I think the bell's about to ring, so we'll see you tomorrow.
I can't.